Dr. Doom may have discovered the most terrifying way to destroy the Marvel Universe, and it doesn't involve defeating the Avengers. Think about that for a second. What if you could destroy an entire reality without ever attacking it? You wouldn't need an army, you wouldn't need an Infinity Stone, and you wouldn't even need some giant cosmic weapon. You'd just need to find one person, someone whose existence is so important that if they were gone, their entire universe could eventually collapse with them. And here's where things get interesting. Dr. Doom has already encountered something surprisingly similar in the comics. During one of Marvel's biggest multiversal disasters, while the heroes were desperately trying to save reality, Doom was doing something completely different. He was trying to figure out what was actually causing it. And once he understood the weakness, he didn't simply try to destroy it. He figured out how to use it. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Comic Era if you want more Marvel deep dives like this. Now let's get into it. This is what people misunderstand about Dr. Doom. They see the armor, the magic, the army of Doombots, and the ego, and they assume Doom wins because he's powerful. But that's not really what makes Victor Von Doom dangerous. Doom wins because he looks at problems differently. When everyone else sees an enemy, Doom looks for the system behind the enemy. When everyone else is fighting the battle, Doom is trying to figure out why the battle is happening in the first place. And we've already seen this mentality during one of the biggest events in Marvel Comics, Secret Wars. To understand what Doom did, we need to go back to the beginning of the multiversal collapse. The Marvel Multiverse was being destroyed by incursions, where one universe would collide with another and both realities could be destroyed. But the incursions weren't just random disasters. Behind them was something far more terrifying, the Beyonders. These mysterious beings existed outside the normal multiverse and had been conducting an experiment involving the destruction of realities. One of the most important pieces of that experiment was Owen Reese, the Molecule Man. The Beyonders had placed versions of Molecule Man throughout different realities, and these versions were connected to their plan for destroying the multiverse. As the incursions continued and universe after universe disappeared, the heroes were desperately trying to find a way to stop the collapse. But Doom was looking at the problem from a completely different angle. He wanted to understand the system behind it. Eventually, Doom, Doctor Strange, and Molecule Man discovered the truth about the Beyonders and confronted them. Doom managed to use Molecule Man as part of his plan against the Beyonders, and when the final destruction came, the multiverse as everyone knew it was essentially wiped out. But Doom didn't let himself die with it. He used the power he had obtained from the Beyonders to gather the fragments that remained and create something completely new, Battleworld, a patchwork reality made from pieces of countless destroyed universes. Doom became its ruler, taking the title of God Emperor Doom, and for years inside that reality, he was essentially the absolute authority over everything that remained. Even the heroes who survived had their memories altered or suppressed because Doom had built an entire world around the idea that he had saved everyone. And that tells us something incredibly important about Victor Von Doom. When the multiverse is collapsing, Doom doesn't necessarily ask how he can stop the collapse. He asks how he can control what comes after it. That's the part that matters for our theory. Doom realized that the multiverse wasn't simply falling apart randomly. There were underlying mechanics. There were pieces on the board that mattered far more than everyone else. And if you understood those pieces, you could manipulate the outcome. That's exactly what makes Doom so dangerous. He doesn't always need to destroy the thing in front of him. Sometimes he just needs to find the one piece that everything else depends on. And now, the MCU has introduced something that could give Doom another way to exploit that exact kind of weakness. We saw it in Deadpool and Wolverine.
That is what happens when a universe loses their anchor.
The TVA reveals that some people are so important to their universe that their death can have consequences far beyond their own lives. When one of these people dies, the universe doesn't simply explode. Instead, it slowly begins to decay, and eventually that entire reality can be lost. They're called anchor beings. Now, before we go any further, there's an important distinction. Marvel has never said that anchor beings are the same thing as Molecule Man. They're not. But the basic idea is incredibly interesting. Both stories show us that one individual can have an enormous impact on the fate of an entire reality. And if Dr. Doom discovers that the MCU has people like this scattered throughout the multiverse, he wouldn't see them as random heroes. He'd see them as targets. Imagine Doom somehow gaining access to the multiverse, maybe through the TVA, maybe through technology of his own, maybe through something far more powerful. Whatever the method is, Doom starts mapping the different universes. But he's not looking for the strongest hero. He's not looking for the biggest army. He's looking for something much more specific. He's looking for the person that universe can't afford to lose. And once he finds them, he doesn't need to invade. He just needs to remove them. That's what makes this plan so disturbing. Doom could eliminate the anchor being of a universe and then simply leave. He wouldn't need to watch the universe collapse. He wouldn't need to fight its heroes. He could let time do the work for him. Imagine that happening to Earth 616. The Avengers could be somewhere else fighting Doom, thinking they finally stopped him. Then strange things start happening. People disappear. Buildings begin vanishing. Parts of history start breaking apart. At first, nobody knows what's causing it. Then the heroes realize something much worse. Their universe isn't being attacked, it's dying, and Doom isn't even there. By the time they understand what's happening, it could already be too late. And if Doom did this to multiple universes at the same time, the consequences could become even worse. Because when realities start collapsing into each other, you get incursions. One universe collides with another. Entire worlds become impossible to save. Heroes are forced to choose which reality survives. And suddenly Doom isn't fighting the entire multiverse. He's making the multiverse fight itself. But here's the question. Why would Doom even want to do this? Why destroy reality after reality? Because I don't think his ultimate goal would be destruction. That's not really how Doom operates. Doom doesn't want to watch everything burn. He wants to prove that he's the only person capable of rebuilding it. And we've already seen this in Secret Wars. When the multiverse reached its final collapse in the comics, Doom didn't simply accept that everything was going to disappear. He took control of what remained. Using the power he had stolen from the Beyonders, Doom created Battleworld from the fragments of destroyed realities. Different worlds were pulled together and stitched into one new reality, and Doom became its ruler. So what if the MCU takes that idea and pushes it even further? What if Doom doesn't just want to survive the multiversal collapse? What if he wants to decide what survives? Think about what that would mean. Doom could allow universes to collapse, preserve the pieces he considers valuable, and then use those fragments to build his own version of reality. A reality where Doom makes the rules. But there's an even crazier possibility. What if the anchor beings aren't actually Doom's final targets? What if they're just the first step? Because once Doom understands how these individuals affect the stability of reality, he could ask himself one question. Why should someone else be the thing holding reality together? Why not Doom? Imagine that he eliminates the natural anchor beings, controls the collapse, gathers the surviving fragments, and creates his own battle world. Then, instead of simply sitting on the throne, Doom makes himself the foundation of the new reality. Not just its ruler, not just its god, the one thing everything depends on, and that creates the ultimate problem for the heroes. Eventually, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and everyone else who survived the collapse could finally reach Doom. They've fought through Battleworld. They've survived the destruction of their universes. And now they finally have a chance to kill Victor Von Doom, but then they discover the catch. If Doom has made himself the thing holding their new reality together, killing him doesn't save everyone. It destroys everything he's holding together, and suddenly the heroes are trapped. They can't let Doom rule forever, but they can't kill him either, because the man they need to defeat has made himself indispensable to existence. If Doom dies, everything dies. Now, obviously, Marvel hasn't confirmed that this is Doom's plan. We don't know if he'll hunt anchor beings, we don't know if he'll be able to manipulate them, and we certainly don't know if he could actually make himself the foundation of an entire reality. But that's what makes the theory so interesting. Because the MCU has already established that certain individuals can be incredibly important to the survival of their universes, and the comics have already shown us that Doom is willing to exploit the hidden mechanics of the multiverse when everyone else is looking in the wrong direction. So if Victor Von Doom discovers that the MCU has the same kind of weakness, why would he fight the Avengers head on? He wouldn't. He'd find the person their universe can't afford to lose, and he'd make them his first target. So now I want to know what you think. Who is Earth 6116's anchor being? Could it be Spider-Man? Doctor Strange? Or could Marvel be hiding the answer in a character we haven't even considered yet? Drop your theory in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to The Comic Era for more Marvel theories, hidden comic connections, and deep dives into where the MCU could be heading. Because if Doom discovers the answer before the Avengers do, the multiverse might already be doomed.